with Jaylin Lane after his first professional days of phase 3 of OTAs. It's weird because it's like the first day for us, but what's it been like for you being out here the last couple of weeks since you've been drafted, rookie minicamp, and then out here today?
Yeah, it's been real cool. Like, you can tell here in Washington, it's a special place, a lot of special people here, and, just a lot of great people to be around, and, I'm excited to get to work with the vets and, all the guys that's here, and it's been a great few weeks.
How different is the speed of the tempo compared to, say, rookie minicamp when the vets are out here?
I mean, I say, there's a lot more communication going on, a lot more, flying around stuff because, everybody's confident. They've been doing it forever. And so you can see that from the defense and, just from an offensive standpoint, it's a lot more communication. It's just that. And, the more you communicate, the faster you can play.
So Clover, South Carolina's very own, the 864. Love to see it. You grew up, obviously, I think a lot of people that followed your story, especially learned about your story after the draft, know your dad was a coach. Yep. How did him, before we ask about the football part of it, how did him being a coach impact how he was as a dad and kind of how you grew up? That whatever coaching stuff, you just look at him or you look back at it and you're like, oh yeah, that was coach coming out.
Nah, in fact, I feel like it would have been worse if I played quarterback. But he tried to keep family time away from football as much as possible, mainly because my mom didn't want to hear all that at the dinner table. But, there'd be certain times where we're just competing regularly. I'm like, that's Coach Lane instead of Pops. So, yeah.
And then what was it like to play for your dad as a player, having him as a coach?
Yeah, while I was playing for him, it was great, just because, he was on me hard. He's pushing me. And, he's being harder on me than any of my other teammates just because, he don't want to give the impression that, he's just starting because his dad's the coach. But, he made me earn everything, and I feel like, him being like that on me early on helped me get to where I'm at today.
With Jaylin Lane here on the Hoffman Show. So because I'm sure there's that moment where you're trying to figure out okay, am I playing because that's my dad, or am I pretty good at this? When did you know oh yeah, I'm a really good football player?
I think it was a 7-on-7. South Carolina, you do 7-on-7s all summer. It was actually at Burns High School. It was the last play. I can't remember who we were playing. Last play of the game. They threw up a jump ball. I lost 5 people. And, I'm standing 5'6" in high school, and I just made a crazy play. Everybody was hyping. That was kind of the moment. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good at this.
That's nice. So you eventually wind up at Middle Tennessee State. I went to Middle Tennessee State for 2 years because they have a great music engineering program, and that's what I thought I wanted to do until I started doing this. Yeah. Why did you go to Middle Tennessee State?
Man, I was kind of under-recruited coming out, and, Middle Tennessee came late. And, Coach Stock was there. He was a really good dude. Just loved the way he carried himself. And, I saw what he was doing with the team. And, I decided to go there.
And then at what point did you know that, okay, there might be more out there for me? I mean, transferring is just a thing that a lot of kids are doing now. It's a totally different world, whether it's NIL or opportunity, whatever it is. So what was that for you that made them the opportunity first to leave, and then why Virginia Tech?
I'd say, I wanted to be able to prove that I could play, at a higher level. I didn't want that to be a question, me going into, getting drafted and stuff like that. And, I saw the opportunity there with the transfer portal, and, Tech was kind of one of the first teams to hit me up. And, who wouldn't want to play in that atmosphere first off? And, I got a lot of great coaches there, and, it felt like, helped me get where I'm at today. So I feel like it was a great decision.
Yeah, for sure. With Jaylin Lane here on the Hoffman Show. By the way, did you see that Metallica performed live down there the other day?
Yeah, I was so jealous I didn't get to go, man. They said it caused a mini earthquake when they played Enter Sandman. So I was like, yeah, that's crazy.
If I had told you back in high school, hey, you're really going to want to go to a Metallica concert one day, would you have been like, no, I don't?
I would have said, who was Metallica? I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
So what was it the first time you came out and you got to experience that live?
Dude, it was just everything felt like slow motion. I still remember it so vividly. It's just butterflies, chills, all of the above. And, it's something that, you never want to take for granted. Yeah.
You mentioned, since you've been here, you can tell it's a special place. What are some of those early, stories, early impressions, early things that stand out of why you felt that way and why you feel that way?
I mean, I think in the locker room, you get the vibes of a college locker room. In college, you're around the guys all the time. You're probably living with some of them, things like that. But here, I really didn't know what to expect. But, you got dudes joking around. They got a hoop in there. And, it just feels like a real brotherhood. And, I think that stands out to me.
You walk around this locker room, looking over your shoulder, and Bobby Wagner's here. Like, he's gonna have a gold jacket one day, which is neat. What was it like to all of a sudden you walk in though, and you're probably watching Jaden last year do what he's doing on TV. You see a guy like Bobby Wagner. We all watched Bobby growing up. So what's it like to see that guy 3D in the flesh, and how do you treat those early interactions?
I think it's very surreal. One, because obviously you see him on TV and you know what they've done and where they're going to end up in the Hall of Fame, but also just how down to earth everybody is. I meet Bobby for the first time coming in. Dapping me up, talking to me like, I'm like, dang, this is Bobby Wagner. But, and then, like, same with Zach Ertz, Terry, everybody, everybody's like that. And, I think it just speaks to, what the coaches and the higher-ups here are trying to do, and just the kind of brotherhood and bond we got.
Last thing for you, obviously you and Deebo, similar roles, skill sets, whatever in this offense, however you want to phrase it. Yeah. But what have you been able to pick up from him so far, and, how much you kind of watching him to say, okay, let me see how he goes about his business. Let me see how he does these things specifically to know that you can better your game.
Yeah, like Deebo, he's from South Carolina too, so we kind of got like a little connection there. And but he's just how he carries himself. He's born to be a leader, and he's just very what's the word, technical and very attention to detail. Detail orient. That's what I'm looking for. And you can see that in the way he practices and the way he does routes on air, whatever the case may be. So him, Noah Brown, Terry, all great guys to for me to come in and watch and learn from.
Jaylin Lane with us here on the Hoffman Show. Jaylin, welcome to DC and good luck.
Appreciate you.